Once again, we are coming to you from the Grant King Race Shops at 8155 Crawfordsville Road in Indianapolis. And let me suggest, when things clear up and you can get out and mingle, you need to stop by here. It is a working museum. You'll be amazed at what you'll see here. It's really quite interesting. And of course, we need to thank Bill and Stephanie Throckmorton, the owners of the Grant King Race Shops, for allowing us to come here. Today's program is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, SVRA McGilvery's, and VP Insurance. Founded in 1993 to spearhead Honda's entry into IndyCar racing, Honda Performance Development has overseen the racing efforts at all levels of the sport, from karting and quarter midgets to IndyCar and prototype sports cars. HPD offers race engines and competition products for the amateur, entry level, and professional ranks. To find out more about HPD and the company's racing products, go to hpd.honda.com. If you have a computer problem, which I seem to have been born with, we have a new computer guy. It's an A+ affordable computer doctor, and he's a doctor because, like in the old days, he makes house calls. His name is Steve Freeze. If you got a problem, talk to him, and he can help you. Give him a call. The number is 317-328-0766. And should you, heaven forbid, have dental problems, there's only one place to go. We go there, and many of our people have been going there, and it's phenomenal. It's the Indy Dental Group. Indy veteran Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have one of the highest rated offices in the state. We'll give them a call, make an appointment. Number 317-846-6125. And should you want to find out what it's like to be in an Indy car, take a ride in a two-seater for the Indy Racing Experience. You can go on indyracingexperience.com, find a date that works for you, and in the promo box, put DK1, you get a 50% discount, or you can call the office and talk to Shonda. Number 317-243-7171. Is it time to upgrade your home, your car, or your commercial insurance? Do what I've done, when we've done, and many of us have done. Contact Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Call him, talk to him. Mike's a good guy. He'll help you. 317-248-0070. And should you have an interest in having a vintage car, like the one sitting behind me, the Olsenite Eagle, driven by Bobby Unser with Chief Mechanic with Wayne Leary. Great car. It's available. And if you happen to either have one or want one, this is the place to go. Contact the Grant King Shops. If you need one restored or you need an engine rebuilt, they can handle it. Give them a call. Talk to them. 317-820-3595. And if you are a vintage fan, where it's sports cars or Trans Am or any kind of car, you got to subscribe to the Speed Tour magazine. It's a top-rate magazine. It's got great stories, great photos, and it tells you places to visit at the various events they have around the country. So go to svra.com and subscribe. You'll be thrilled that you did. And I especially want to thank the Speedway Cable TV guys, Brian Pierce and Bill Pease, for making this possible. They edit the tapes when we record these, and they're the ones who put together the open and close. Spectacular. My guest today is none other than the co-owner of the Grant King Race Shops, and somebody who's been involved with this Grant King for years and years. Please welcome Mr. Bill Throckmorton. Thanks for being here, Bill.
Hi, Don. Pleasure to have you in our shop. Glad that you were able to keep your Autosport radio show going through the coronavirus episode here. Been a pleasure having you as a guest.
Yeah, we're having fun. As I told Tony Perella about 3 weeks ago, I'd never heard of this. Now we're doing it. Not thanks to me by any means, but thanks to Ted Hollett, who's making it happen, because I don't even know how to push buttons. Bill, you've been involved in motorsports almost your entire life, or probably your entire life. How did you get started? What drug you into it?
Well, my mother's sister, which was Doris King. Doris was married to Grant King. So basically, when I was born, I grew up around Grant. Probably by 3 years old, I was around cars, around the shop. I've been in this shop since it was built in 1970. Pretty much, I guess all my life I've been around racing. I ended up living with Grant even when Doris and Grant got divorced in '79. Me and Grant were still close, and I actually drove for him in the '80s. So it's been a long process, but I guess I don't know any better. This is what I've been around, born and raised with.
You drove yourself. What kind of cars did you drive?
I started out in quarter midgets when I was 4. Then, just progressed. Started building my own midget when I was 16. Ran midgets, ran sprint cars, and I think last year that I ran was 1997. I think I started in like '85.
And your daughter at one time was a sprint car driver as well. She followed you a little bit.
Yeah, she did a good job. She ran for quite a while, and thankfully she doesn't race anymore. So yeah, it's hard to watch your own kid out there.
No question. And also, I might mention that your wife Stephanie has been a driver herself, drove midgets, and at one time, I haven't figured out if she was good enough. They wanted her in Africa, or they wanted to get her out of town, so they sent her to Africa. But she's traveled around the country driving cars, race cars.
Yeah, she ran midgets, sprint cars, and she ran for a little while. So yes, she's been around racing now for quite a while, and now she gets a daily dose of it.
Yeah.
She's a huge help here at the shop. I mean, without her, nothing would run as smooth as it does.
The working museum you have here, was it your plan? There was a fire, it burnt the building down, but all the original equipment survived. And that's all here. When you had the building rebuilt, did you really intend to make it a museum? Because you've got old cars, you've got old pictures, you've got stuff from somebody that probably everybody in the world has heard of, Evel Knievel. You've got stuff from him here.
Yes. I've kept everything that I've ever touched or owned since I was probably 4 years old. And I was fortunate there because I took good care of it. And a lot of the stuff I kept in plastic and stored it all my life. And even before the fire, we had a lot of stuff in here. Had race cars, different things. After the fire, the equipment, it was kind of heartbreaking for a while. And it took me, every other day I'd remember something that I lost or something that burned up or, and finally just went to it, rebuilt all the equipment, cleaned it, painted it, redid everything, and started pulling stuff out. I lost a lot of stuff, but I started pulling more and more of my stuff out that I didn't have displayed. I don't know, it was an accident, but this is what it turned into.
You have hundreds of pictures. You've got driver suits from some of the most famous drivers and people in the world. Mm-hmm. And of course, Grant built cars that were of top quality. He made the Speedway, but he was also known for midgets and sprint cars.
Yes. The people walk in and they say, "Oh, neat pictures." And then I say, "Well, hang on. Every picture in here is associated with the car or something to do out of this shop. They're not just random pictures." And there's probably, I would say we probably have almost 1,000 pictures on the wall. And it takes a while. Every time you walk in, you'll find a different one. There's pit boards, uniforms, engines, cars. It's turned into a neat little place to come and visit.
And you, of course, are open when you're open, which you're not right now because of the condition we're in, but you're open to having people stop in and take a tour.
Yeah. We prefer that they call ahead and get with Stephanie so she can schedule a visit. And it's nice to have more than just one or two people. We enjoy showing the place off, but we just have to fit it in because we still have to work every day to keep the lights on. So we have to fit everything in there one way or another.
And as I mentioned earlier, if you have a vintage car looking for one, this is the place to come. If you have some, if they're looking for that, and if they've got one that needs to be restored, you can do that as well.
Right. I mean, we're brokering several cars for some of our customers. We've got several cars that are being worked on right now and restored. So it keeps it pretty busy. And a lot of times, if you walk in 6 months later from the first time you were here, you'll be amazed. It'll be quite different.
Now, in addition to doing this, you do have another business that also keeps you busy. When you have a little lull here, you have another business going on quite most of the time, actually.
Yes. My other business, we do a lot of commercial work, advanced welding and engineering. And a lot of material handling companies are with companies that are in transportation, and that keeps us really busy. So it's we. I don't know. It's a wide gamut around here. You don't know what you're going to be working on from day to day.
Now, yesterday it was announced to the public, although we've talked about it on Autosport one night, that you and your partner, Gary Trout, have been in your mind working on putting an IndyCar team together. You've owned teams and cars in open wheel, but it was in the smaller ranks, and he's been involved in IndyCar as well as NASCAR.
Right.
And you're putting a program together to make an entry, hopefully maybe even this year, since the 500 has been delayed a little bit, to get a full-time ride eventually, like next year, to go IndyCar racing. How is that proceeding? And the big announcement yesterday. Talk a little bit about that and how it happened.
Well, I'll back up just a little bit. Gary Trout and I have been working on this process quietly, or trying to keep it quiet for the last year and a half. And a lot of things are coming together, but it's a lot of work. People don't see how much work and time. Like this morning at 6:30 a.m., I'm marketing. I've got people on the phone. We're trying to set up different deals. Gary stays extremely busy. His wife, Kim, I'm sure she's like Stephanie. They probably want to kill us half the time, but eventually they got to be nice to us, and they're a big help to us. We couldn't do this without them, but both of our families are working very well together, and we've worked very hard. And we picked out a driver for our team, and that was R.C. Enerson, because we talked to several of the engineers, and a lot of the engineers spoke highly of the young man. And good-looking American kid, well-spoken, good to be around. He's definitely an asset to a sponsor into our race team. The one thing I will say, because after our release yesterday, people were saying, well, RC has a budget for 80% of the season. RC won't need a budget for 80% of the season, because we're going back the old-fashioned way. We're hiring RC. RC's not bringing money to the table at all. We're bringing the kid in because we like him, and we're going to get him in the Indy 500.
Now, behind me is a sign for Hagerty, which is a motorsports insurance company, and they're the first ones now that are actively working with you. And you manage, the IndyCar is allowing RC to try and qualify for the final event of the season, which is Saturday at the Speedway. How did Hagerty fall into play, and how did you bring them on board with you to kickstart the whole program?
Well, the way that happened, we've done a few things with Hagerty. Mark Briggs, he's our motorsport manager. We've had several events, done several things, and it tied in through the Vintage Indy Registry, Mike Lashmat. So we knew each other, and then we're looking for other associate sponsors on the race car. We're planning to make a large announcement probably next month for a major sponsor, but we always need more and more associate sponsors. And Hagerty, we've been talking with them, and we just thought it would be a good fit, because we've done a few things together, and so we worked out a deal. Hagerty is on the car for the iRacing Indy 500. Hopefully, we make it today. Between 3 and 3:10, RC will be trying to qualify, and they're going to take 4 cars out of the 10 cars that have to bump their way in. And since we were a full-time team, and a few other odds and ends that they've relegated to people, we're going to have to bump our way in. But I think RC will get it done. We'll know here shortly.
Well, RC has come through the ladder system. He ran in the Road to Indy program and ran in the Indy Lights, and then he moved up and got a ride with Dale Coyne, his first debut in an Indy car at Mid-Ohio. And he really opened some people's eyes, because he could have been in the top 10 easily. Unfortunately, they ran him out of fuel. But it's obvious the young man has the talent. He's shown it in everything he's ever gotten into. So I think picking him as number one, like you say, is an American young kid. I think he's 24 years old. And he's going to be a good spokesperson for whoever your sponsors end up being. I think obviously they'll all be thrilled to have him.
Right. Yes, no, there's no doubt about that. And nowadays, you have to, your driver has to have a knack, has to have talent. He's also got to be able to work with the engineers and give them feedback. And that was the first thing that I started checking on, and everything that I heard back was a plus.
And he will be trying to qualify, as you said today, but he's no rookie at this. He races against a lot of the IndyCar guys anyway. I guess they have various events among themselves. And the last race they had, which was last Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, he was on the pole. He's
Yes, a
done well.
homestead on the,
And
yes.
he's done well against them. So he does have the talent. And as much as people say, and I've heard from some supposed race insiders, oh, it's fake. Oh, yeah? Sit in that simulator, go up and try one sometime and see how easy it is. And you've heard the guys when the race is over, they said, I'm tired. This isn't
Right,
hard.
right. Hopefully he'll make his way in. We think he'll make it. I mean, it's never easy, and it's important. It's kind of a neat deal with our shop over the years. As you know, Don, Gary Bettenhausen was tied in and drove a lot of race cars for Grant, or drove Grant King built race cars out of this shop. And his boys Todd and Kerry have a business, Indy Simulation. And they're very deep into the simulators and trying to sell them. In fact, I believe Kerry was a guest of yours last week or the week before. And I've known Kerry since we were kids, and he's kind of the simulator guru. So I think he's going to be helping us out on strategy if we get in the race, and kind of spotting for RC. And they've been practicing yesterday, and everything went really good. So we'll see what happens. But it's kind of neat to have Kerry come on board, and definitely got to throw out this company, Indy Simulation.
I found it interesting when I talked to RC yesterday, or day before yesterday, I guess Monday. He said that although we started on the pole on Sunday night, he didn't have the strategy right. He missed it. He should have had a tire change, and he probably could have done very, very well, but he wasn't aware of it. He missed it. So I said, you need to have a strategist. And he said, yeah, we're working on it. And obviously you picked a good one, because not only does Kerry understand simulation and simulators and sim racing, he actually drove race cars himself. So he's got the feel of that as well.
And it'll be fun. It's a good tie. I like Kerry. I think Kerry and RC, and it'll be good. You have to have a strategy even in the simulator, with the sim racing.
Absolutely. You got, in the release that came out, said you've been working on a shop in Brownsburg. Have you got a shop picked out where, when things come together?
There's a couple places that we've looked at. We've actually been looking at transporters. Probably for the last 8 months, I've been pretty serious about looking at different engineers, crew guys, a team manager. Been very serious about this, so that when everything comes into fruition, we'll be ready to go. I can get the people I want in the building set up, and but we want to be competitive, or at least people know that we're there right out of the box.
Yeah, I think your plan is to run a couple races if possible this year.
If we can get everything, with the coronavirus, it makes everything's kind of up and down, but we're looking at everything very positive, which is the best way to be right now. But if possible, we'd like to run the 500 and maybe another race or two. And then, our whole goal is to, by next year, is run a full season. And that's our whole objective.
How many races can RC run to be qualified for next year to be Rookie of the Year?
I believe he could run 3 or 4.
Okay, something like that. I think it's 3, if I'm not mistaken. I think the selection, in my opinion, and I've known the kid for a while and watched him, and we're not close friends particularly. He was a young kid and running around, and I know his dad fairly well, so we'd sit and just talk and watch him. And I think the selection of him as a spokesperson, as a representative of you and your team and your sponsors, and as a competitive driver, I think you made a great choice.
Well, I think so too. Like I said, we did it the old school way. There's some good guys that we're going to bring on board that are have great racing experience, and we'll call them old school too. Gary and I are old school, but Gary and I met up with RC, came in, and we liked RC right off the from the start, and we talked about it and made the decision. And we didn't ask him to bring with the check. Sure, he's going to have to work with us and keep the sponsors happy, and he's going to have to pull his weight, but I don't think that'll be a problem. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he is. What are some of the things you have on display here? I mentioned you have some letters, actually handwritten letters from Robert Lewis, better known as Evel Knievel, and his involvement with Grant King. But what else do you have on display from the days, as they say?
Well, it's kind of funny. On the Evel Knievel, he was a sponsor here in '77, and the Evel Knievel car won the PPG award. Beautiful car. Gary Bettenhausen actually drove it. But we've got actual, I think, 3 or 4 handwritten letters back and forth to Grant and J.C. Agajanian on sponsorship, and a couple of them were written while he was in prison back and forth. So they're kind of fun to read. We've got Pop Dryer's actual house car from 1937 that Duke Dalen won all the championships with, sitting up top, and I'm gathering parts as I can. It has the old Alto marine engine in it. We have, we have the first Grant King Volkswagen Midget built. We have the last one that was built, and probably the best copy in here. Probably one of the winningest midgets ever. It was Dougie Carruthers' Grant King car, and that ran through the years, and then Bob Lowe ended up owning it. And that was with sponsorship from Gary Jackson and several other people. So that car's just got an amazing history. The car right behind you is actually Lindsey Hopkins Lightning that started out with Roger McCluskey, and that's the car that Larry Rice garnered Rookie of the Year in.
That's the one back here.
Yes, it was a Bryant car.
Right, yes.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff up in our engine room. A lot of different things to look at. All 3 of our shops are, full of all kinds of parts and pieces and different projects that are going on.
And you have a Jim McElreath car sitting over here, was behind us for a while when we were at the other part of your shop.
Yes, with one of the rare Drake V8s in it.
Is there anything that the Grant King shops can't do? You can restore cars start to finish, and you can rebuild engines start to finish?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of the restoration. We fab some stuff. It's, unfortunately, John Martin passed away not that long ago, and we kept John busy in the motor room, and John was just an engine guru, and we enjoyed having him here, and it was a good time. And so that our engine deal is kind of slowed down because it's just hard on the timing of that. But there's, the cars and different things, not real major engine work if we can do, but, there's a gentleman, Bill Delb, does great work in town, and we've dealt with him before. The motor shop, I've slowed it down a bunch since John passed away, just merely because we don't have time to go up there and do much. John kind of ran that for me, and we've only got so much, and I really want to concentrate on this IndyCar program.
Well, I know it's we've talked about it since almost when you started, and when you started getting a foothold and moving forward. And it's, if people think that you just call somebody and they say, sure, how much you need, and off you go, they're dreaming. There's a lot of time, effort in it. It's not manual labor, but it's a lot of time and a lot of brain power and putting the right program together that when you present it to somebody, it makes business sense. And today, sponsorship has to make business sense.
Right,
of course,
right.
The paddock and IndyCar is a great place for networking because there's all sorts of different companies involved that can work. And of course, with your PR people, when you get that set up, getting your driver out in front of the public and talking, and so people can see them, and you got the right guy for that job. So there's a lot that goes into putting together a team from the start to getting on the track.
There really is. I mean, you have to have a lot of cross marketing. That's, been talking with the Haggerty gentleman, the last few days, we're going to cross market. If we can't present a positive for them, there's no reason for them to be helping us. So, and you have to remember that.
That's what Tony Perella was saying, that they make a presentation and show, here's what you're going to get. You'll be on a car of some sort. That's not the issue.
No.
What can we do to help you sell and get what you're looking for? How do we accomplish it? And that's what
exactly. And Gary Trout and I, it's daily. I mean, we start and we work through the day, and we know what each of us has to do. Stephanie does a lot of the work here. Kim does a lot of the work there. Gary and I are busy all day at it. It was funny, just like with the sim racing yesterday, the different things you had to do for sponsorship setup, getting press releases out. This place was hopping. There was 6 different individuals, working together to make everything happen. And people would just never know or see that behind the scenes. They wouldn't believe it if you told them that. That it's quite a scene behind the scenes.
You're not kidding. It takes a lot of time and effort. And I have to take my hat off to you, even though I'm not wearing one.
You're starting to look like you're getting a mullet, Dante. I got to get to the barber shop, and so do you.
Well, I was going to avoid mentioning that to you, but I see you open up the door, so you're looking sweet too, pal. And you are a weekly visitor. I just go in weekly for an estimate. I don't have enough, but now I can start folding it over. It's getting so long. So, it's been fun. I always enjoy coming down here. So if you get a chance when things open up to come to take a look here, you'll really enjoy it. If you are a race fan or haven't been to a race in 20 years, come down, because something you saw then is probably here somewhere. Yeah. One of the drivers you knew, some of his paraphernalia or apparel will be here. So take the time, come on down to the Grand King Race Shops. As I said, they're at 8155 Crawfordsville Road, just east of Country Club on Crawfordsville. So I think it's
but please call ahead and schedule it before you do that.
And I'll give you the number. It's 317-820-3595. 317-820-3595. Call ahead. Now, you have a limousine here that you use to take people on tour. Since
yes.
Nothing much will be going on for a while, it's probably available. And of course, some of the teams are working, but they won't want people in at this time.
Right.
When things open up, you want to take a tour of some shops, including this one. You can contact them at that number I just gave you, set up a ride with 6-8 people. You can tour the shop here. They'll pick you up at your hotel or wherever you happen to be, take you on the tour and bring you back. So
if you pay a little extra, Stephanie will drive. That'll scare you to death. But we don't let her drive the limousine much. But no, call in and schedule, and we do a lot of neat things. If you have a group coming in, anywhere from 4 to 6 people, it's a lot of fun to be picked up in the Grand King limousine. And we'll bring you back and give you a special tour of the shops. Some of the other shops that are open up that we deal with, they'll welcome us to bring some people in. But we just have to set it up ahead of time.
Right. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up because you probably got a phone call. You turned your phone off, and when you turn it on, it's probably going to start beeping.
I'm sure it will. Yes.
Thanks for your time. Thanks, Stephanie, and you for allowing us in here to use this while we're shut down at McGilvery's. And we look forward. And the plan is to talk to RC after the race on Saturday, so people get to see him and meet him there. Thanks for your time.
Let's hope he gets in today. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Don K.
Thanks for your time. My guest has been Bill Throckmorton, the co-owner with his wife Stephanie of the Grand King Race Shops, and they are putting together a full-time IndyCar team hopefully for next year with a couple races this year. Hope it all works, and we'll keep you appraised. Till the next time, Don K saying thanks for watching. See you then.